Welcome in. Welcome to the STL Hockey Fan Podcast. I appreciate you for coming in and listening, clicking on the little thing and saying, I want to make this a part of my day. I am your host, Corey Young. We actually have a ton to talk about today. So first things first, if you're watching on the video side, on YouTube, on Spotify, on wherever else they show the video, you can see I'm pretty bundled up right now. So right now in my studio, there is no heat. And it is currently, let's bring this up. It's currently 14 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm whipping out the black on black Adidas blues jacket. It's something that I absolutely love. I've had it for years and I cannot find a better jacket. Um, or at least a cooler one. So I'm just kind of, I'm bundle up, I'm gonna come back here, I'm gonna get this done for you guys. Um there's gonna be a good amount of changes to the podcast. Changes for the better. So, I've sat down, I've really thought about it. I've rummaged around the old hat rack, and basically I've found that I can't really do this alone. So whenever I first created this, I don't know anything about podcasting. I just know how to talk about what I like. So, other than reaching out to some good friends, Guy and Justin from the Blue Note Fan Report, as well as um, the guys who really helped me get this, podcast stuff together, along, with like all the equipment and the software and all of that stuff. The guys from 5 Minute Major Podcast, please check them out. They have a bunch of incredible guests. So definitely go check them out. They have hockey play. I think the last person they just had on was, I think it was Josh Dunn from Buffalo Sabres, I believe. I could be completely misrepresenting them, but um, go check them out. They're incredible. They've helped me out a lot. Um, but other than reaching out to guys like them and Guy and Justin, I've really had the idea that I was going to start this thing and I was going to learn by necessity. So, that's how I learn in music. What do I need right now? Okay, well, let's learn how to do that, something like that. So, going into this, having episodes like this where it is just me, this is incredibly hard. Um, this is just a leisurely listen for, most people, but to sit down here and talk whenever there's no one to talk to, that's kind of tough. Okay. Um, so a permanent change that am going to make is I will have a permanent co-host starting hopefully next episode. We were supposed to record today, but my boy got sick. Life happens, whatever. Um, so, most important thing, let him rest, get his voice going. And then hopefully you'll see him next episode. It's my buddy Jesse, and I'm really excited because we got on the phone and we were just talking about this stuff, and we were there for quite a while. So, it's the chemistry is already there. We'll be able to do a lot of really cool stuff, and plus, he has actually worked, I believe, at Enterprise Center. So he's got a feel for what's going on inside the building. So um, other than that, we will have a sponsorship. We did get a sponsorship. However, I don't really want to say by who just yet, um, because not everything's crazy finalized. But um, this is an awesome opportunity. It's going to help me and Jesse both to get some really good guests on, get some really good, quality on the podcast, on, the TikTok videos, all of that stuff. So a lot of stuff ramping up. I'm really excited for it. I hope you guys are too. Um, so that's the cool stuff that is happening. Let's talk about the not so cool stuff. So the Blues lost to the Oilers 5-0. They got shut out. Um, and it's a really disappointing one because you know, they attend the Hall of Fame ceremony for Barrett Jackman, Alex Steen, and Al Arbor, um, and they come out against the Canes and they have an amazing game. They come out against the Lightning and not a great second, but you know, again, beat the third best team in the league, and you know, build up the hopes and all of that stuff. And then you're thinking they're going to come out against the Oilers and they're going to play the same way. Um, you know, well, we'll get into that. So you think that's what's going to happen, and it's just an absolute dud, like we've been seeing, um, which is, I mean, it's just so frustrating as a Blues fan. Um, you know, you think about it, the games against the Canes and the Lightning, who was in goal? It was Hofer. And then they go and they put Bennington in, um, who has not really had a great game in a while. And you know, Jesse actually brought this up when we were talking earlier today. What is behind the reasoning? What's the reasoning behind the decision of Monty to keep Bennington in? Um, I don't understand it. I don't understand what kind of like drama is going on in the background. Is he is he simply not wanting to pull him after, you know, he had to pull him earlier in the season? Is he um is he just trying to make sure Hofer has rest? I mean, there was 2 days, or sorry, there was a day in between the games. So like it what's the issue with him getting 3 starts in a row? I don't understand. Um, I honestly I think you should have put Hofer in. I understand, you know, they're all saying they're leaving him out to dry, but like Hofer is just he's just doing better, and you go with the hot hand. Um, I I understand we've seen this before. Monty has went with Hofer 3 times in a row when I thought he was gonna do exactly what he did this time, and it didn't work out. So, you know, maybe he's looking at that and he's saying, you know, "Don't worry about that. Let's bring in the other guy. He needs to get some confidence going." Well, it didn't work. And now you're back to square one, trying to get 3 games in a row when all these other teams have, like, really good win streaks. Um so, yeah, that's something I'd like to talk about. I believe they are 4-0 this season, or sorry, they are 0-4 this season when trying to get 3 in a row. And just what is that? Like, that's the inconsistency that's plagued this entire season, this entire team. And I just simply don't get it. Like, and most of the time, whenever they're, you know, that third game, whenever they lose, it's not a close game. It's a blowout. It's like they use up all their strength and their energy to get 2 wins in a row, and after that, they're depleted, and then they just get absolutely just spanked. And I simply do not understand it. Um, so some other news in that game, uh, in the third, Sonny gets cut, I guess around the ankle, and he he was rushed off. You know, Ray really got to him. Um, you know, they said it didn't sever his Achilles. That's great. Um, he is day to day, but, you know, that's that's another scary thing, but it's also something, like, I guess we're kinda used to. You got Broberg, he hits his head, that's scary, he's day to day. Um, you've got Thomas, he's taken multiple maintenance days and come back and, you know, he's been day to day. Right now, Thomas is actually out with a lower body injury, he's out 2 weeks. So, you know, just more of the same, guys. More of the same of, you know, good players who aren't producing getting hurt, and then we're hoping they get back so they can not produce some more. Um, I understand maybe it's harsh, maybe I'm just, like, getting fed up, but it's what are we doing? I I I just really I don't understand it. I've talked about this in multiple, TikToks, but, like, I really think it's time you I now, again, let me preface this. I believe, or at least I wish that these guys could just win as the team that they are. But it's just not happening. So I think the best move is you get rid of the older core. That's your Shens, that's even your Benningtons, that's Falk, even though Falk is, I'm pretty sure, still leading your team in scoring. That's Kyrou, that's Thomas, and you let guys like Neighbors, Tucker, Mayu, um, Stenberg, Hofer, all of those guys, Snuggerud, Dvorsky, you let those guys take over. You let them know that, the future of this team is in your hands. So, if that's not a confidence boost, to let your young core guys know, that it's on them now. You would like to think that you would get some type of jump. You could at least get 3 games. Um, okay, so next, some news. You've got Steve Ott being given the head coach position with the Springfield Thunderbirds. Um, the Thunderbirds relieve their head coach of their duties, and Otter is going to come in and start his hand at head coach. Um, so, I have two things I can say about this. Um, One is a conspiracy that nobody should believe, um, and the second is reality. So let's go with the conspiracy first. So basically, you would think in that last game against the Oilers, actually, let me pull this up. I would love to know. So in the last game against the Oilers, the Blues had 4 power plays, and they didn't score on any of them. On top of that, they were on the kill 3 times, and out of those 3 times, they gave up 1 goal, and it was actually the first goal. Um, so I mean, the special teams really could have helped us out, and they didn't. And who's overseeing the special teams? Steve Ott. So you could put on your tinfoil hat and you could basically say that this is Doug Armstrong, Doug Armstrong and Steiner's way of changing up the personnel to get the power play back on. Because apparently, what's going to happen here is instead of somebody else coming in and taking that job, at least immediately, what's going to happen is Jim Montgomery is going to take over the power play. Um, Now, how much of Jim Montgomery is within Steve Ott's, playbook for, special teams? I don't know. So, what that means is like if there's a lot of Monty within that playbook, you're not going to see a whole lot of difference. So, I I don't know if that's something to be excited about or if that's something that honestly isn't going to have an impact. Um, but maybe that's kind of the conspiracy thing of it is that's your sneaky way of getting Steve Ott out. However, this is the reality of it. Um, we have seen how many head coaches be thrown onto the Blues bench, while seemingly passing up Steve Ott. Um, so like Steve Ott, I assume wants his chance at head coach. Um, and so I would like to think this is Army's way of kind of starting his path towards head coach. Um, he's going to go to the AHL. He's going to try to whip the T-Birds into shape, and he's going to try and get like a good groundwork and foundation for these young players who are coming up to the Blues roster and lineup, where hopefully it's almost like a seamless transition. Um, I saw a comment somewhere where somebody said that, pretty much the reverse of what I'm saying about the special teams. Like, um, Otter has a lot of Monty in his repertoire. So, like, or in his, yeah, I'll say it again, in his playbook. So, you know, kind of bringing what's already happening on the bench with St. Louis and hopefully implementing that with Springfield. So, I mean, all I really have to say about that is I've wanted Steve Ott to get his chance at a head coach. At least I wanted it with, with the Blues, but, you know, I want to see him succeed, and because everybody loves Otter, he's a fan favorite. Um, so next we have the game against Winnipeg. Now, I looked, Winnipeg is basically the same record as the Blues. So they're not doing great. We're not doing great. Um, and, if you look at it, this is another good opportunity, I guess, because Winnipeg will be on the second game of the back to back after facing Chicago. Uh, Chicago also not doing great. They're a little higher in the standings, but, they're not doing incredible. Um, so you would like to think, a rested Blues team coming in against a team that played the night before, you should get some good looks, but you just really hope that the Blues are not going to try to play down. I mean, how far down can you play when you're at the bottom? Is something I would love to know. But um, this is going to be another challenge, just like the Blues have had all season. This is the opportunity for win one. Um, and hopefully, it ends up somewhere. But I mean, I know Dallas is in there. I think they're right after Winnipeg. So, I mean, who knows where this is going to go, guys? I sincerely hope it is in a good direction. I sincerely hope that they play that little trick on us that they've done, where they just turn it on in the second half, which we're in the second half. They should be turning it on. If that's gonna happen, it needs to start last week. So other than that, guys, I appreciate your patience with me trying to get these episodes out. I do not make any money doing this, doing the TikToks, doing any of this social media stuff. This is just something I like to do. It's fun. Um, so have some patience with me. I really appreciate the ones who already have. Um, because on top of all of this, I have a full-time job, I have a family, I have all the normal life stuff and this as well. So I appreciate everybody for supporting me, standing by whenever I possibly miss a deadline or something like that. Nobody's freaking out, and I appreciate that. So I will cap this off here. Next episode is going to be huge. Um, it's going to be way different in the best way. I greatly appreciate everybody for being here. I love you guys. Let's go Blues.